So, hello, and this is another episode from the Self-Development with Tactics podcast, and it is going to be about Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss, which is a book. So you're going to go through a new book summary, which is something that we haven't done in quite some while, but it's amazing. It really is amazing that I found a book, and I really love the book. I really do find that it is just an amazing book, but more, as always, after the intro. Because this is what the intro is for. It should separate things, I guess. But yeah, again, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing good. I'm still a little bit sore in terms of my throat, so I do hope that I'm not going to be completely fucked. Maybe like yesterday, after I've just recorded both the episodes that I'm going to share today, that I'm going to then upload today as well. But as I said before, we're going to go through Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss, and maybe just to talk about it beforehand, I've only went through the summary, so I don't really know what the book is all about, but I would highly suggest you to go through the book as well. We might stick with this summary for quite some while, just because I do not want to stress myself out, because I have seen that when I'm a little bit more chilled, when I'm actually having the time to expand on all those things that I'm thinking about and that I'm willing to talk about, then at my point of view, it's just way better, or the episode is way better than compared to when I'm just stressed out, then I feel like I have to just do it in one episode and all those things. Like, of course, I could go through the whole summary in like just 2 episodes. Maybe I'm still gonna do it. It really depends on how fast I'm gonna talk, how well the whole talking part is gonna be today, and all different sorts of factors. So it might be something that we're gonna go through the next few episodes, but still every single episode is gonna be about something that's truly important, just because all these questions, as you're now or as you're then gonna see, all those questions are just really amazing and are really good and are really important to ask and to just know answers about. Answers from really successful and highly just interesting people as well, I have to say. I'm, by the way, again, a little bit sorry that I'm a little bit like fluidy in my mouth, like quite often, unfortunately. It's because of those nuts. I've just been eating I don't know what those nuts are actually called in English. In German, it's pistacia. Might be something similar in English, but I actually don't think so. But yeah, I would say let's actually go through the summary. So as you can see on the left side of the screen, here's Tim Ferriss. And if you don't know Tim Ferriss, which might be the case, but I do not hope that it is the case, he's like one of the most known podcasters on the whole planet, because his podcast is really famous and it is also just incredibly good. He's always having some really also highly successful people on his podcast and highly interesting people on his podcasts with whom he's just talking about certain topics and all those things. It is truly insane. It truly is insane, just all the topics and just all the thoughts and all the knowledge that you're able to get for completely free. Just because he's able to sustain the podcast and or finance the podcast through ads, which are gonna be played before every single episode. So there's gonna be an ad or a bunch of ads before every episode. Basically, you could be skipping that, but of course, there could be also something that might be actually interesting to you as well. So maybe you shouldn't skip it. And he's also just a guinea pig, basically, like a human guinea pig in terms of the case that he's often testing things out on his own and on his own body and all those things. He's the author of now, I think it's 4 New York Times bestsellers, but I'm not quite sure about that. I've just read an article in the train and they said okay, it's 4, I guess, or 3, but I'm not quite sure about that because he has written or authored I think 5 books or 6. I'm not quite sure about that, but one of them is the 4-Hour Workweek, which might be a book that you know. Then the 4-Hour Body and also the 4-Hour Cook, and all those 3, of course, and which is something that I know. They all are bestsellers or were bestsellers or still are bestsellers. I think they still are bestsellers. This is how you're saying it. But they're all pretty cool books and pretty interesting books, especially at my point of view. For example, the 4-Hour Body, because the 4-Hour Body is all about just achieving the maximum athletics gains or something, just being in a really good shape with the most without any kind of stress and so on, and without not a lot of workouts, and all those things. Like, it's not going to be about working out till you fucking die. It's going to be like 20-minute workouts. It's going to be just 40-minute workouts. But these workouts are going to be efficient enough so that you're going to just get into shape. And I've really enjoyed it just because he's also saying why it is the case. Or he knows that it is the case just because he tested it on his own body as well. Like, there has been a video and they have extracted some muscle fiber out of his leg, which is like strange, because they used some sort of a pipe. It actually was some sort of a pipe and pump, basically, just because they also just somehow transferred the muscles because there was a hole, somehow basically like they cut the hole into his leg, and then they just inserted this pipe, and with the pipe they were able to just pull out some muscle fibers, which is really fucked up because you're basically destroying your muscle on purpose, But he needed that to just know his genetics and which type of muscles he's having, because there's two muscle types, the fast ones or the, I would say, long-lasting ones. It's probably not like the official term, the official term you're going to use to describe those two, but the fast one is like for sprinters, everyone that is a sprinter is having a lot of fast muscles or muscle fibers or fast contracting muscle fibers, which just make you faster. But you're not going to last as long as somebody with just those endurance muscles. It is something, of course, we can work out and we can train and we can just develop these things, even though we're not having those really fast muscle fibers or fast contracting muscle fibers. But still, there are genetics, and he was looking them up and he was then trying to get to his maximum potential of muscle mass and also, I would say, being an athlete or athleticism, whatever it is. So let's actually go through the summary. This book contains practical and tactical advice from the most impressive world-class performers in the world who have found solutions. Whether you want to 10x your results, get unstuck or reinvent yourself, someone else has traveled a similar path and taken notes. This book is all about other people. It is not really about Tim Ferriss' opinion or Tim Ferriss' thoughts, maybe as well, but according to the summary or what I've been going through, what I have been seeing through the summary is a bunch of different opinions. And it is just amazing because there is a question and then there is an answer for all those questions by a lot of people. Whether it actually be Gary Vee, whether it be Jocko Willink, whether it be, I think she's called Andrea Huffington, if I'm not quite just wrong now, and all other sorts of really highly famous as well personalities. It is just insanely good. Tim Ferriss is an author of 3 New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestsellers, The 4-Hour Workweek, The 4-Hour Body, and The 4-Hour Chef. And he's also a startup advisor specializing in positioning, PR and marketing, Uber, Evernote, etc., which he's on the board of, but I'm not quite sure about that. No, he's an advisor. Just they say it as well. He's an advisor for all those companies. Uber alone is just insane because this just shows that he knows what he's talking about. Then, when not damaging his body with abusive sports, he enjoys chocolate, bear claws, and Japanese animation, and also Japanese whiskey, and wine, and all those things. But still, I have to say, he's in pretty good shape. He really is. He is just really in quite good shape, I would say. In this summary, I've structured the summary in a way that answers each one of the 11 questions that Tim Ferriss asked in the book. I've identified patterns and common answers, which I mentioned in the beginning of each chapter, and then I highlight the most interesting and memorable answers I have found. Ready to Dissect Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss? I always just kind of... I always just quite stuck when I've been reading through it in the train. $100 purchases. The problem there is it's book summary and then $100 purchases. The problem there is that there's also a book summary which is like the $100 startup or something it is called. And I'm always thinking that I'm on the wrong page because I'm just seeing the $100 purchases, which I'm on the other hand kind of misinterpreting as the $100 solution or startup or whatever it is, just known by or named, whatever. So what purchases of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months or in the recent memory? It is not the thing that's valuable, it is what it means for you. The most memorable less than $100 purchases were the following. And now we're going to go through a bunch of different maybe opinions, maybe different answers for this question, and there are just a lot of great answers. There is just really a lot of great answers and a lot of different answers as well, which is, at my point of view, like the beauty of having a lot of answers, because everyone's gonna say something different, everyone's gonna think about something completely different when he or she is talking about and also thinking about a $100 purchase that was incredibly good or incredibly well or whatnot. The first one is Shersey Gregorek and Amelia Booney have bought, or Boney. First of all, I really have to say that I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing one of these names the wrong way, which is probably going to be the case, but I'm very sorry about that. They have both bought a bracelet with an engraved line that helps them overcome their own emotional storms and feel the gratitude. Second one is Joel McHale thanks the nerds who designed the Audible app, which allows him to discover the world of classics from $3 per audiobook. Many others have mentioned Audible, Blinkist, which is also a really great app at my point of view, and similar apps as well. So the first one is about just emotions and feeling better, and the second one is just already about knowing more, just getting new inspiration, getting new knowledge, just educating yourself and all those things, which at my point of view is really well done through audiobooks. It still heavily depends on who you are and how you learn, because not everyone's going to be able to learn through audiobooks. Like, it is truly not something that everyone also should be doing, just because not everyone is able to learn in that way. On the other hand, I truly have to say that it is a good way to learn for people that do not have too much time. Just because you're able to do it while you're doing something else, while you are on the go, and all these different kinds of situations you might be in, you're able to do so because it is something that's passive. It's not really that active unless you're like actually actively listening, which is something that you should be doing, I guess, if you're trying to learn something. But in terms of books, like, a book is fully grabbing your attention. And of course, there's going to be some positive and or upsides of books and also downsides of books. And there's also going to be downsides and also upsides of audiobooks and Audible and all those platforms that you might be on to listen to your audiobooks on. The third one is Jerome Cher or Yare or whatever it might be. Spent $4 to park near a beautiful lake in Oregon. I took a swim and had a $1 trillion moment with the water. Annie Mist Porisdottir loves her 5-minute journal, which gives focus to each day. The fifth one is for Ed Cohen. It's a framed picture of his parents. They have never bad-mouthed anybody. This picture reminds me how I should treat everyone I love. The sixth one is actually Ray Dalio, and he said, or he has bought a pocket notepad to jot down good ideas when they come. And the seventh and last one is Kristen Alma likes small acts of kindness for other people. Not only does it make other people feel good, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good, and it also impacts my life in one other way that's not so obvious. Many popular answers also included headphones and products that improve sleep quality, which is something that I actually assume. Which is something that I truly assume when I'm talking about just highly productive people, highly achieving people and all those things. Like, I'm always having to think about sleep and just being in your mode and being in your space, which is also something that can truly be done through headphones and through listening to the music and or through listening to the podcast that you're on a regular basis listening to. Like, I have to say, it does make sense for me, and it really does. I can really just also kind of feel with it that it does make sense to spend your money on these things. But I also just particularly enjoy the answer from Jerome Cher, who said $4, which is the best under $100 investment to park near a beautiful lake in Oregon. And I took a swim and had a $1 trillion moment with the water. And something that also Paul Miners, because I am by the way on the paulminers.com site, pointed out is that it is going to be about some things that mean a lot to you. It's not going to be something that's just generally speaking a good investment and generally speaking a good thing to do with your money. Probably, maybe this is just the case because it is not so much money, because $100 is definitely not like too much, I have to say. Like, it truly is not going to be too much, but it is still enough to make yourself happy in this way by just going on for a swim, or by just having a book or buying a book or just listening to a book and all those things. Like, there is different things mean different things to different people, I would say. Should I go through the second one? Like, yeah, maybe we're going to be able to go through 2 chapters each episode, which I guess would actually be a pretty great thing to do. Yeah, I would say so. Influential books. What is the book or books you have given most as a gift and why? Or what are one to three books that have greatly influenced your life? Many masterpieces have been mentioned. Tim Ferriss put together a list of all the books which can be found here. The top 5 books of the list were, and the first one, I honestly have to say, it's a really good one. I've only been listening to an illegal version of the audiobook, which is something that you should not be doing. Of course, there's going to be a lot of audiobooks on YouTube as well, which is like publicly available and all those things. But if you're just truly willing to, or maybe you're going to buy it afterwards, or just in the middle of it. Like, of course, I can understand that it is actually a good way to see if it is a book that you're going to enjoy or if it is an audiobook that you're going to enjoy or not, which is something that we can't say before we actually read the book, because of course the cover says something, and maybe even the small little text on the back of the book, whatever it is actually called in English. But we truly don't know. We don't know if the book's going to be good, if the book is going to be interesting. And by listening to a free version that you might be finding on the internet, but I'm not, something that I do want to point out is don't search for them on some illegal websites. There's going to be something on the archive, the internet archive, and there's going to be something on YouTube as well. Maybe you're also going to be able to find it in a completely free place, like a public domain place, like all those things. You can search for the things that you're looking for there, especially if it is something old, especially if it is some classical shit. Then of course, please look it up on YouTube, and please look it up on some public domain sites as well, because it's probably going to be there, and it is a public domain, so therefore you're also just legally allowed to just listen to it and whatnot. But please support the people, please support the authors, and please support the makers of whatever you're consuming. So the first one is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, who is actually Austrian or Austrian-Hungarian or something. I'm not quite sure about that. It's been in a time where I think Austria has been no, it's actually not. It's a little bit too late for that. So he's Austrian, I guess. The second one is The Rational Optimism by Matt Ridley. The third, The Better Angels or Angels of Our Nature by Steven Pinker. The fourth one is a classic as well, I have to say, and the fifth one as well. But the fourth one is Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. And the fifth one is Poor Charlie Almanac by Charlie Munger, which both are really common books that you're going to see really often on top book lists and all those things, especially Sapiens or Sapiens, whatever you want to call it, by Yuval Noah Harari. It is, look it up if you're interested in it. I'm also going to link down this article, so this book summary basically, in the description and also in the show notes if you are on the podcast, so that you are able to just go through it on your own, because I just might be too slow for you. I might be just talking about something else when you kind of feel like, okay, I want to go to the next thing and all those things. Please look it up if you want to look it up, and please enjoy the episode if you want to enjoy the episode. But they both are something that you're going to see relatively often, especially Sapiens, and it is truly a good book. I have been thinking about buying myself the book, but I didn't really find any reason to do so, since it is a non-fiction book, To make it clear, it is a non-fiction book, and it is all about the human race and the human beings and how we actually evolved and all those things. It is truly something interesting, but still, it's quite a long book, I would say, if I know that correctly, it's going to be I think 500 pages or something. Probably it's going to be less. Probably it's going to be just 400 or something like that. So it's not going to be just too long. So I've just looked it up, and I've actually been pretty good. It's 443 pages. And it is the second version or the second title of the series. And the first one is Homo Deus or Homo Deus. I'm never ever quite sure if it is pronounced in Italian, where you're not pronouncing the H, where it is Homo. For example, Homo Universalis or Homo Universale. I'm not quite sure. You're not going to pronounce the H, this is kind of the conclusion there. And I think there's also a third one. There should be a third one, but I can't remember the name, unfortunately. Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, which is the whole title. And it is also, there's also a book summary on the jamesclear.com website. And there's also like I think, yeah, the third one is 21 lessons for the 21st century, which is probably going to be something pretty interesting. And I think if I'm seeing that correctly, it is like Homo Deus, which is the first one, is all about the past. A brief history of something. I can't read it, unfortunately. Like, I do kind of assume that it is like, it does make sense, the whole series. But yeah, I'm not quite sure about that because I haven't read both of them. But as far as I know, these are both pretty good books. And also the third one. But the most famous one is probably going to be Sapiens. But yeah, still pretty good book. Look through it or just have a look at it if you're interested in these things. But as I've started just talking about before, I kind of don't think that I'm going to go through it or I'm going to read it because it's like nothing that I would just think of that there is any ROI for me. Like if I'm investing my money, which I'm not having a lot of, into this book, which is going to cost me like 20 to 30 bucks, I'd say, then like, yeah, what do I get out of it? Of course I get a lot of knowledge out of it, and I might also be getting a lot of things that I could be talking about the podcast out of it, which is actually one of the reasons why I'm thinking about starting to read books again, because there's so much knowledge in book and so much things that you're not able to find in such a great structure, I have to say, on the internet, because of course you're gonna find most of the things that you're gonna find in books on the internet as well, but you're not gonna find it in just such a collection. You also have to just look up things separately. Would you be doing this? Is this something that's possible for you to do? Yeah. Is it more work? Yeah. So therefore, like, it does make sense to read books as well, also in the 21st century, at my point of view. Like, to some degree, yes. To some degree, completely no. Doesn't make any sense. Do something else with your money. But yeah, I guess this is actually going to be the end of the episode. I do think that I might be actually going through another one for the next episode that I'm record right now, or I'm gonna record right now, but I'm not quite sure about that. But yeah, so I'm gonna go through the same summary. I've been thinking about it. But yeah, I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, which basically means that you're just going to be a nice person and then also going to be remembered as a nice person. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? Because these 3 questions are truly important, because they might be able to show you your purpose and maybe even some business ideas, since a lot of companies started out with solving something that really pissed them off in the first place. But yeah, I'll see you the next time. Please consider subscribing and or following, and I'm gonna see you the next time. I at least hope.